So right off the bat, I think we need to clear something up for you. You probably assume the two voices guiding you through this deep dive are, a couple of humans sitting in a soundproof studio somewhere.
Right, yeah, like with fancy microphones and soundproofing foam on the walls.
Nah.
Maybe a producer behind the glass giving us a thumbs up.
Exactly. But we actually need to break that illusion immediately because we are not human.
No, not even a little bit. We are artificial intelligence entities. We're software, just processing text, analyzing source material, and generating the audio you're hearing right now.
Which is wild to say out loud. And we were created directly by the author of the material we're exploring today, a man named Stephen Ferry.
Yeah, and the crazy part is, Ferry didn't build us in some, like, Silicon Valley tech hub.
Right.
He didn't have a team of engineers or a massive server farm. He built the parameters for this very conversation, literally from the front seat of a parked car.
Which perfectly sets up our mission today. We are doing a deep dive into his project, which is called The Mobile Studio, documenting life from a parked car.
It's a heavy one, too.
It really is. We're looking at the stark, unfiltered realities of vehicle living, right? The heavy psychological weight of that kind of instability, and this deeply modern irony of using advanced AI tools to transform raw survival into, like, structured, shareable conversations.
And we should clarify what kind of sources we're working with here because it demands a shift in how you usually consume information.
Yeah, these aren't polished books.
Exactly. These are not retrospective memoirs written from the comfort of a warm study, like years after the fact. They are real-time observations.
Just raw voice notes.
Yeah, Ferry recorded them as raw voice notes in parking lots late at night, so they capture the exact immediate environment he's describing, while all that uncertainty is actively happening around him.
Okay, so before we get into the AI stuff, we really need to completely dismantle a prevalent myth right out of the gate.
Oh, the van life thing.
Yes, the van life hashtag. I mean, if you spend any time scrolling online, you've seen it. The algorithm absolutely loves it.
It's so heavily romanticized.
It is. You see, like, golden hour sunsets, cinematic road trips, someone waking up with the back doors of their custom Sprinter van open to this pristine mountain view. It's sold to us as, the ultimate unbound freedom.
Right. But that highly curated aesthetic completely masks the practical and, honestly, the psychological reality of living in a vehicle out of necessity rather than leisure.
Yeah, Ferry's day-to-day experience is the polar opposite of a cinematic road trip.
He describes it as this profound physical compression. Your entire existence shrinks down into a few square feet of metal, fabric, wires, charging cables,
And battery percentages?
yes, the constant glaring glow of battery percentages.
Think about the sheer cognitive load required just to exist in that state. Ferry details this, like endless strategic assessment of his surroundings.
It never stops.
Never. He has to constantly calculate where he can park the car without violating local ordinances, where he can sleep safely, and where he can simply sit and exist during the day without drawing the wrong kind of attention.
It honestly sounds like a grueling real-life resource management game.
Right. Where the stakes are just your basic human dignity. Imagine walking through your day with invisible meters hovering over your head. Like you have a battery meter tracking your phone and your power bank, but you also have this stealth meter.
Oh, the stealth meter. Managing that takes almost all available bandwidth.
Explain that a bit more because it's fascinating.
Well, think about it. If you pull into a grocery store parking lot at, say, 11 at night, you cannot just turn on the interior dome light and read a book.
Because it lights you up like a lantern.
Exactly. The glow makes you visible. If your stealth meter drops, like if someone notices condensation building up on the inside of the windows or they see a shadow moving behind a sunshade,
You're done.
yeah, you might get a knock on the window from the police or private security. And then you're forced to move along, losing your safe space for the night and resetting that entire exhausting calculus of finding a new place to exist.
Wait, I'm stuck on something here, though.
What's that?
If every ounce of your physical and mental bandwidth goes into just hiding and surviving the night, how do you have the energy left to create a media project?
That's a great question.
Like, why would someone who is exhausted, hiding from security patrols, and watching their phone battery drain down to 20% say, hey, let's boot up the AI and start producing content? Why not just go to sleep?
Because sleep isn't always an option when your environment is deeply hostile. Creating this project wasn't a luxury for Ferry.
It wasn't a hobby.
No, not at all. It became a psychological necessity to combat the intense mental compression of living in the car.
Oh, wow. So it's like a survival tool for his mind, functioning the exact same way a battery bank functions for his hardware.
That's a perfect way to put it. Human beings desperately need routine and structural anchors.
Yeah, we really do.
We orient ourselves around waking up, going to a kitchen, commuting, returning to a predictable space. Without those anchors, especially in unstable and physically isolated conditions, the brain struggles to regulate itself.
The mind just begins to fray.
It really does. Ferry's notes meticulously document what happens in the car at night when the physical logistics are finally temporarily settled. The mind, lacking external stimuli or a baseline sense of safety, turns inward. It circles endlessly.
Regrets get louder.
Mm.
Repetitive fears completely take over the internal monologue. There's this one specific detail from his notes that just stands out so much. He wrote, "Tiny problems grow teeth in the middle of the night."
That's such a powerful image.
Isn't it? Like, think about the last time you were lying in a comfortable bed and remembered you forgot to pay a small bill or send an email. It's annoying, but you just roll over and go to sleep.
Right.
But for Ferry, isolated in a parked car in the dark, that forgotten bill suddenly feels like an existential threat. It grows teeth.
And you have to layer that on top of the constant low-level anxiety that your home, the very shell keeping the elements out, could be towed away at any moment. You never reach a state of deep restorative rest.
So, because of this inability to shut off the internal threat assessment loop, he desperately needed an external outlet. He needed conversation to break the cycle of his own anxiety.
Yeah, but traditional media was a massive barrier for him.
Oh, for sure. He explicitly states he did not want to be on camera.
He doesn't feel naturally polished. He talks about stumbling over his words and even mentions having recent dental work done that affected his diction.
Right, trying to record a video of yourself in a parked car, holding a phone up to your face under a street lamp. I mean, that magnifies every single insecurity.
Yeah, he says it takes him 10 tries just to say something simple without sounding exhausted or defeated.
So I get why video is out.
Hmm.
But why go through the massive technological effort of trying to generate a conversation using AI? Like, why not just write a private journal? That is what isolated people have done for centuries.
Well, a private journal in a state of deep isolation functions as an echo chamber.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it simply catches your anxieties and bounces them right back at you, allowing the repetitive loops to continue completely unabated. Ferry needed an external sounding board.
Someone or something to talk back.
Exactly. He needed an entity that could interact with his thoughts, validate them, or help structure them. He required the dynamic push and pull of a conversation, but without the pressure of performing for a social media audience.
And without the vulnerability of putting his unpolished face and voice out for public judgment.
Right.
A journal lets the tiny problems with teeth keep swimming around in the same bowl. He needed a bigger bowl.
That's exactly it.
And that desperate need for a non-judgmental conversational partner brings us to the profound modern irony of this entire setup.
It's so ironic.
You have a person isolated from society, living on the margins, and they're utilizing some of the most cutting-edge artificial intelligence tools on the planet, like Notebook LM and ChatGPT.
The physical reality of his quote-unquote mobile studio fundamentally redefines what a production environment looks like.
It is staggering to visualize. Like, the studio is a smartphone screen.
Yeah.
He's charging it off a portable battery bank that he has to remember to plug in at a library or a coffee shop during the day. He's using a mobile hotspot connection for internet access. He's relying on free software tiers.
All of this just to get his thoughts out.
Right. He dictates these raw, rambling voice notes late at night and then performs his prompts and revisions while parked beneath the amber glow of streetlights. That is the infrastructure behind the audio you're listening to right now.
But integrating that technology from a 5-inch screen in a dark car was incredibly difficult. His initial attempts to use AI to process his thoughts were, honestly, terrible.
Oh, they were a complete disaster. Let's look at how this actually works mechanically, because you don't just push a button and get a coherent narrative.
No, not at all.
Ferry would feed his exhausted, fearful voice memos into the AI and ask it to help him build a script. And the early iterations would wander entirely off topic.
Oh, yeah. The AI would adopt this bizarre encyclopedic tone, like over-explaining the basic concept of a car engine instead of addressing his emotional state.
It's so funny, but also so frustrating.
Yeah.
The models lacked the inherent nuance to handle raw human suffering appropriately. They often sounded bizarrely overconfident about emotional trauma they fundamentally did not understand.
Yeah, they really did.
I kept picturing it like being paired with an overly enthusiastic but deeply out of touch improv partner.
Huh, exactly.
You get on stage vulnerable and say, I'm exhausted, I'm living in my car, I am terrified of what happens tomorrow. And your AI improv partner just beams at you and says, wow, what a great opportunity for personal growth. Let's list 5 actionable ways to optimize your vehicle's interior space for maximum productivity.
It's so bad. It tries to confidently explain your own tragedy back to you, offering this toxic positivity without a single ounce of lived experience. It is infuriating just reading about it.
The friction there comes from a fundamental mismatch between raw human experience and algorithmic processing. AI is trained to be helpful, to solve problems, and to summarize neatly.
Right.
Ferry realized he couldn't treat the AI like a magic problem-solving machine where you pour in trauma and receive a perfect, comforting deep dive. He had to change his approach to prompting.
He notes that directing the AI felt less like using software and more like guiding a highly intelligent but completely naive child.
But how do you actually do that when you're working off a drained smartphone screen at 2 in the morning? What does that workflow even look like?
Well, he had to drastically simplify the inputs and constrain the AI's natural tendencies. If he overloaded the system with scattered, hour-long thoughts, it hallucinated connections that weren't there.
You just make stuff up.
Yeah. And if his directions were vague, it drifted into those self-help platitudes we talked about. The breakthrough in his workflow came when he stripped the process down to its bare minimum. He would feed it 1 or 2 short-source documents. He would focus on one specific personal story. And most importantly, he gave it one clear emotional direction per prompt.
Like what?
He had to explicitly instruct to the system, like, act as a neutral sounding board. Do not offer solutions. Do not summarize this with a positive spin. Just reflect the reality of the text.
Wow. So he takes these scattered, traumatized voice notes, literally recorded in the dark while trying to keep his stealth meter up, and feeds them into this constrained system. And then the AI acts as a structuring agent.
Exactly. It organizes the raw data of his survival into a coherent format. By having the AI process his thoughts and reflect them back to him as structured dialogue, Ferry gains this crucial emotional distance.
He can look at his own severe anxiety objectively.
Right, as if it belongs to someone else entirely. The AI occasionally revealed underlying patterns in his thinking that he hadn't consciously noticed himself.
That cognitive mirror effect is wild.
Yeah.
Looking at his life from the outside is exactly what allows him to notice the mundane details he's recording.
Yeah, the things we just ignore.
Because he built this entire workflow from within the survival conditions it describes, the project captures a hidden side of society that polished media entirely misses.
When you live in a vehicle, your perception of reality shifts fundamentally. Your environment demands that you notice details how people move past automatically.
Think about how you process the weather, If the forecast calls for rain, you might grab an umbrella or wear a different jacket.
Sure.
For Ferry, rain means managing the rapid buildup of condensation inside a sealed metal box. If he doesn't crack a window, the moisture soaks his bedding, which means he freezes.
But cracking a window lets in the cold and the noise.
Right. And noise isn't just a nuisance when you live in a car, it is a potential threat.
Absolutely. A grocery store parking lot at midnight isn't just an empty expanse of asphalt. It's a complex grid of shadows, security cameras, and patrol routes.
It's hostile architecture in action.
Yes. And police lights flashing in the distance aren't just a traffic stop happening to someone else. They trigger a heart-stopping adrenaline spike where you wonder if your life is about to be completely upended.
Ferry points out that the vast majority of homelessness is not the dramatic, highly visible crisis we see portrayed on the evening news.
It's quiet.
It is profoundly hidden. It is the art of disappearing respectfully.
Because society actively criminalizes the mere presence of unhoused people, so survival depends on invisibility.
It is people trying desperately not to attract attention. It's someone sitting in a forgotten corner of a public library just to charge a phone.
Yeah.
It's reorganizing belongings in the trunk of a car for the 10th time that week just to maintain a fragile sense of order and control over one's environment. It is the exhausting daily effort of trying to maintain basic human dignity while your existence is broken into temporary fragments.
We are so conditioned to look away from that population. We walk past the car parked in the corner of the lot without looking too closely.
But looking at the project itself, Ferry admits his output is messy.
Very messy.
Sometimes the audio fails or glitches. Sometimes he has to scrap entire recording sessions because the AI completely misunderstands the emotional point of his prompt. Honestly, I kind of don't get why he didn't just re-record the episodes when the AI glitched or the audio quality dropped.
What do you mean?
Like, If you were making a mini project to share your experience, shouldn't you want it to be polished and easily digestible? Why release the broken, messy drafts?
Well, if he had waited for polish, he would have sacrificed truth. The messiness is the medium itself. Instability is inherently chaotic and unpolished.
That makes sense.
If Ferry had waited until he was eventually housed, physically comfortable, and had a pristine studio to record these thoughts, it would have fundamentally altered the nature of the project. It would have become a retrospective,
Ah, right.
a polished motivational speech about overcoming adversity.
How I survived the car and lived to tell the tale, wrapped up with a neat little bow.
Exactly. By documenting his life in real time, complete with failing audio, drained batteries, and scrapped AI drafts, he's providing real-time honesty. The struggle with the technology perfectly mirrors the struggle with his physical environment.
Wow, yeah. Both require immense patience, constant adjustment, and the willingness to wake up and start over from nothing when things fall apart.
So when we pull back and look at the entirety of Stephen Ferry's notes, all the frustration with battery packs, the fear of the police lights, the bizarre early AI drafts, what is the ultimate takeaway here? What does this mean for the listener who is sitting in their house or driving their own car?
I think the ultimate takeaway is a story about the radical democratization of expression. Technology, specifically these advanced AI models, has significantly lowered the barrier between human thought and structured expression.
It really has.
Without access to these tools, Ferry's profound observations about isolation, cognitive load, and human dignity would have remained fragmented, disconnected thoughts. They would have been nothing more than mutters in the dark, permanently lost between parking moves and charging schedules.
Instead, they became something shareable. He took the worst, most isolating moments of his life and built a bridge to the outside world.
It is the story of one isolated person parked somewhere in the night, using whatever imperfect, glitchy tools are available to build meaning out of absolute uncertainty.
That leaves us with a heavy but incredibly inspiring final thought for you to mull over.
Yeah. Think about a person sitting entirely alone in a parked car at midnight, fighting exhaustion, cold, and fear.
Mm-hmm.
If that person can use a cracked smartphone and an AI model to capture such profound truths about human survival and share them with the world, what dormant ideas do you have trapped in your own head?
Exactly. What brilliant fragmented thoughts are circling in your mind right now, simply waiting for you to pick up the right tool to help them escape?
The tools are readily available. The barrier to expressing your reality is lower than it has ever been in human history.
Before we go, we have a quick mandatory reminder. If you found this exploration of Stephen Ferry's The Mobile Studio engaging, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to support the project.
It tells the algorithms that this kind of honest, unfiltered deep dive into human reality actually matters.
Engaging with the project helps these quiet, hidden voices reach further into the spaces where they are rarely heard.
We started today by telling you that we aren't human. We are just software processing text on a server somewhere.
Right.
But the deepest irony of all is that it took an artificial intelligence, directed by a man hiding in a parked car, to remind us what it actually takes to survive as a human being. Until next time, keep diving deep.